Okay, so the last class, what did we discuss? What was the last topic that we have discussed? We have discussed about the wrapper class. We have discussed about the wrapper class and we have implemented example which is similar like a real time. By selecting the account, we are displaying the opportunities and contact information, right? So what are the related contacts are there? It is displaying in the contact section. And what are the related opportunities are there? It is printing the related opportunities. If I change the account selection on change of the account, we are displaying the refreshing the another two tables, right? So this is what we have discussed in last class. Today we are going to focus more on to the interface. Now, interface is basically how to implement an interface. Okay. When it comes to the real time, we do not use the interface. So in my experience, I never implemented the interface, but we use the one that is Salesforce is provided. Predefined interfaces, we use it. Predefined interfaces that is provided by Salesforce, we use them. Like a batch apex class and batch apex class, queuable apex class, and what are the interfaces? We have bulk apex, schedule apex. So everything we use it as part of the implementation, which is provided by the Salesforce. Those are the interfaces provided by the Salesforce. We use them. But implementing the interface from the scratch is we do not do it. But I'll just give you the how to implement a interface from the base structure, but we will not see any example. Okay, so because we will not be using this interface implementing from the scratch in the real time. In my experience, I have never done it implementing the interface from the scratch. We use it. We use the predefined Salesforce, whatever provide the interfaces, we use them in the batch apex or schedule apex or bulk apex or queuable apex, whatever the apex, whatever we have for the interfaces that is provided by the Salesforce, we use them. Okay, so first of all, what is the interface? Interface is nothing but we have a class. Okay, there is a class. It only has a methods. There is no data or no variable. Class containing a method, containing only methods, no variables, no data is called interface. Interface is nothing but it has, the class has only the methods. It does not have any variables. It does not have any data in it. Just inside the class, it has only method declaration also. It is a different, which is not similar like a regular method declaration. We will see that. Now, so when I say different, interface makes implementation of a method mandate. That means it will make the method has mandate whoever is calling the interface. And next thing, in case if this method does not have any variable, then how to pass it? If the class does not have, interface class does not have variables, then how can we provide it? Variable can be declared at method variable. I cannot declare the variable at the class level, but at the method level, we can declare it, or instance variable. What is the instance variable?
It's passed as an argument for the method parameter.
It is a parameters which is passed as a pass to the method. So whenever we wanted to implement a method mandate, then we have to use the interface. In real time, we do not write the interfaces. We use the existing interfaces that is given by the Salesforce. There are a lot of interfaces coming on. And whenever we are discussing about the batch apex, we will talk about moethod. Okay. All these interfaces are already pre-given by the Salesforce. We use them. We just use the existing interface. So let's see how to implement a interface in the real time. So let's go ahead and implement file. Let's click on new apex classes. Okay. CL underscore 1509 underscore. What are we doing? Interface. Okay. So this is the interface class. We have implemented interface class. Let's go ahead and declare a methods inside the class. Void, I'll take a two method names. Method names are shopping and dropping. So I'm declaring a variable here. If they can pass it, they can pass it in the parameter. So I'll use another method, which is a dropping. Okay. So usually how we declare a method? We declare a method. We will say public void shopping close open close braces, and we use the curly braces, right? That is how we declare a method. But here the declaration is different. How do we do it? Usually public void, and then I'll say some method name, then I'll use the curly braces. This is what we use it, right? This is how we declare it. But in interface, we do not declare like this. In interface, we do not declare like normal methods. It has to be, method has to be ended with semicolon. But if I'm using this method, this is the format, okay? What it is saying, the error method must have a body. If it is a normal class, then definitely method must have a body. But here, what we are doing, we are trying to implement an interface. When we are trying to implement interface, how can we tell the system that, okay, method should not have a body because I'm implementing the interface class? How can we tell the system that this is the interface class? It is assuming that system is assuming right now method is this class is normal class, and whatever you have written method, it's not a right way to implement the method. You should have a body inside it. But how can we tell the system that No, this is what I want, but this has to be interface class. How can we tell the system? How can we tell the system?
Implements, we need to put something.
Implements. Okay, implements for what?
The interface, some.
We are implementing the interface from the scratch.
Mm-hmm.
So basically, in order to tell the system that I'm writing the interface, what we have to use is here the keyword called interface. Instead of class, if I say interface, then system will understand, okay, you are writing the interface class. Okay, that is the right format to declaration of the method. That is all good. Which is all good. If I say here class, which is a normal class, it will assume that we are doing the normal class. If I say instead of class, if I say interface, that means I'm writing the interface base class. Now let's go ahead and create a one more class where I can use this interface. CL underscore 1509 interface use. Okay, click on OK. Now, what we can do is now we have to use the interface here. Whenever we wanted to use the interface, just copy the name of the class, whatever the interface class is there. The actual class of the interface, just copy that and go to the wherever we wanted to use that interface, go to that class. And then here we have to write the implements. Implements is nothing but I'm writing the new class, but which I'm going to implement it using the existing class.
Mm.
So whenever I say implements, immediately system is going to throw an error saying that whenever we do the implements, so whenever we say the implements, it is going to ask that you are going to implement the interface class. So you must use the methods. You must implement a method that is exist in the interface. There are two methods inside this interface. So you must implement the method which is a shopping and dropping. So whenever we are implementing any interface, whenever we are calling any interface using the implements interface, we must use the same methods that are declared in the interface. So here we have to use the method public void shopping, and it has a parameter integer, and this is one method declaration is done. Now we have another method inside the actual interface. Actual base class has another method which is a dropping. Public void dropping. Now as soon as I implement this methods inside the new class, all the error will go, or all the errors will go. Now the question is, should I need to write the method, the logic which is implement, like do I need to implement only the method that is already declared inside the interface? Cannot I use my own methods here? We can implement my own methods. There is no issue. But we can implement, developer can implement as many as methods they want, they can implement. But the standard way is, but it has to use the existing method. You use the existing method that interface has. You use the existing method that interface has. Apart from that, if you need any other methods, if you wanted to implement it normal way, we can implement that. I can write public void, I can say pickup. So this is my own method. This is my own method. So which is possible, we can implement this. But along with the implementation of my own method, we have to implement the interface methods also. That's the reason whenever we are writing the batch Apex classes, we use the interface, which is a batch class, batchable. Right? Whenever we use the implements batchable, we have to use the existing method structure. Start, execute, finish. Because that is the declaration that is done by Salesforce on that interface. So we must have to use this method. Without declaration of this method, if I have a 5 method declared inside the actual interface. Okay, so there are 5 methods which are declared here. But out of 5, if I'm using 2 methods, does it system allow? No. We have to declare 5 methods. Otherwise, system will not allow us to save it. How many methods we have in the interface, those many methods we have to declare it in the new class, whoever is implementing the interface. Right? So this is how the interface will be there. So whenever we are discussing about the batchable, we will see more about that. But that is how we declare the interface. If you want to implement the interface from the scratch, then we can use it. But I have not seen anywhere that implementing the interface classes from the scratch, where the interface class has only methods. Next topic, we are going to discuss about the constructors. I think we have already discussed about the constructors. What is the constructors here?
Class and method name should be same.
Right. What is the constructor?
It is a method that is invoked when an object is created from the class.
It is a method. It is not a normal method. It is a special method which is invoked
when an object is created from the class.
When an object is created from the class. And what are the properties that constructor has?
A method name will be the same as class name.
Method name will be same as class name.
Access modifier will always be public.
Access modifier always be public.
And this method is invoked only once at the time of creating an object.
This method will invoke only once, that is at the time of creating an object. That is at the time of Does the constructor has a return type? Does the constructor has a return type?
No, ma'am, doesn't.
Constructor do not have the return type. So these are the properties. Now we will see one example how the constructor is playing a role. If you do not use the constructor, what will happen? If I use the constructor, what will happen? Okay, we will see one example. Now before that, so constructors are three type of constructors. There are three type of constructors we have. One is default constructor. And the second one is non-parameterized constructor. And the third one is parameterized constructor. Now, we know what is the constructor. We know what is the properties, and we know what are the different type of constructors. Now, if somebody asks you, why are you using the constructor? What is the use of it? What is the use of it? Why do we use it? If somebody asks you, when you are implementing the class, they will ask what is the constructor. You will be able to say what is the properties, fine. What are the different type of constructor is fine. But why do I need it? What is the use of a constructor? If I
Yeah, if
On
you
load
wanted,
of well, so if we want to display the information on load of the Visual Force page, we can use the constructor.
on load of the some data, if you wanted to store, if you wanted to show the information, that is the initialization. And the
for execution of first method in the, because with the help with constructor, that first method only will get executed like so.
what do you mean by first method?
Means we are in a class, we wrote suppose 2-3 methods and we wanted to call very first method from that particular class.
Is constructor, is there similar like other methods, or it is a different method?
It's a different method. That means first method only get executed whenever we are writing number of methods in a class, even though because it is a special method. So whichever like first method like with the class name only will execute.
So when you say first method, can you give me the example?
Means as we are writing in constructor with the class name only, no madam. Like
Yeah, give me some example. Scenario, give me the scenario.
scenario, I don't have any idea, but
Okay, Amala, scenario. Amala,
Yes, ma'am. Yes.
yeah, scenario. Why do we use this?
Uh,
Explain this. Just now, whatever you explained, explain it.
yeah, like if we want to display any object records as soon as the Visual Force page is loaded. So that time we use the constructor method.
could you once repeat, Amla, once?
Yeah, like if we want to display the records as soon as the Visual Force page is loaded, like without clicking on any button or anything, just if we want to load the records, then we use the constructor method. So if we use the constructor method, it will just display the records as soon as the Visual Force page is loaded.
Okay, okay.
Like without clicking on any button or anything.
So that means that one first method get executed automatically. You want to say this?
Yeah, like as soon as the Visual Force page is called, so it displays the record. Like we did one assignment also, right? Like ma'am was explaining one code. So
Okay.
like where it displays the first 10 account records as soon as the page is loaded. Instead of
Okay.
we clicking the button and then loading it, it will just load it as soon as it is called. Visual Force page is called.
Okay. 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 Thank you, Amla.
We never say first method is executed. That is not the right way.
Okay.
You go into the interview, if they ask, if you say that first method, what are the first method is there that gets executed, that means it's not the right way to say first method.
Okay.
The right way to say is on the execution of the class, okay, constructor gets executed.
Okay. Okay.
Okay. Next one where we use the constructor is passing the variable. When I say passing the variable, so what does that mean, passing the variable? So second constructor uses passing the variables to the class, passing class variables. Now what does that mean, passing the class variables? Now for example, I have a method. Let's go ahead and implement a class. CL_1509. So we are writing the constructor. Inside the class, I'm going to declare two variables, which is the class variables. Integer L and integer. I'm going to declare two variables. So these are my two variables. Now I'll have a method. The method is public. Let's assume that this is I'm calculating it. So public void calculate area. So inside this area, what I'll do is I'll declare a variable, which is the result. To store the result, I need a variable which is called result equal to, I'll say L multiplication of B, and then I'll print system.debug. And let's say the result, I'm going to print it. This is my class, right? Now, if I try to execute this method, what will happen? What is the, if I try to execute this class, what is the output I'm going to get it? If I try to execute this class, what is the output I'm going to get it? Or if I try to execute that particular method.
Like null pointer exception something?
Null pointer exception. Why we are getting the null pointer exception?
Because we did not given the values to it.
Yeah.
We did not given the values to the variables.
Yeah.
Now, if I give the values to the variables at the class level, what will happen? It is a fixed variable. It is a fixed value.
Yeah, yeah.
I cannot change the value whenever I'm executing or somebody else is calling that particular class or that particular method. We cannot change it. Now, I do not want the fixed values to be declared inside the class variable. Whenever whoever is calling this class, could be a Visualforce or could be a LWC or could be a Lightning Aura, whoever is calling this class, could be another class is calling this class. Whoever is calling this class, I wanted to pass the variables. I wanted to pass the variables while initialization. That means whenever I'm initializing the class, that time I wanted to pass the variable values. Now, how can I do that? If I wanted to pass the variable,
the instance variable for the method, instead of declaring it outside in the class, we can give instance variable for the method.
That is method level we are passing it, right? But instead of method level, I wanted to pass it at the class level. Usually what we do is we declare a variables here, parameters, we will declare it, and we will pass the variables here.
Input parameters.
but I wanted to pass the values at the class level. I wanted to pass the values at the class level. If I try to pass the values at the class level, why I'm passing at the class level? Because I have a few variables that is declared at the class level. So that's the reason I wanted to, during the initialization only, I wanted to pass the variables. Now, if I try to execute this, what will happen? It will say that constructor is not defined. If something we are going to send the information from the class level, if I'm passing any variables at the class level, system will expect that if developers are passing, or if somebody is passing at the class level some values, if you wanted to hold those values, then implement a constructor. Implement a constructor. This is usually we see in the real time. On the class level, we have a constructor which is expecting the parameters. Which is expecting the parameters. This is parameterized constructor. Public and the class name. Assume that I'm going to pass the two values here. So I need to declare a variables. Both the variables are integer. Integer A, comma integer B1. So these are the two variables. Now as soon as I get at the class level variables, what I'll do, I'll set the class variables to the, what are the variables that is passed, what are the value that is passed from the during the execution or during the initialization of the class, what are the values are passed, I'll be storing into the class variable. I'll be assigning the values to the class variable. Now, if I try to execute the same thing, what will happen?
It will get executed. It will display the value.
It will display the value and the output is the 60. So this is one of the passing the class variables. So passing the class variables you usually see in the real time. Okay. So for example, there is a Visualforce page. Scenario is there is a Visualforce page and the user is entering the details in the Visualforce page. And I wanted to capture those values. I wanted to capture the values. So whenever we wanted to capture the values, for example, I have a number 1, number 2, and number 3 are there. Assume that. So there is a one Visualforce page. Okay, this is my Visualforce page. This is my Visualforce page. Inside the Visualforce page, I have a two input text. These are the numbers. Okay, it is expecting some numbers. So user is entering some numbers in the two of them. Some numbers. What are the numbers are there? 1, 11, and here 10, 12 is there. Now these values I wanted to pass it to the class. Whenever this VF is called to the whenever this Visualforce is called to the class. Whenever this Visualforce is called to the class, then we wanted to pass these two variables. Whenever there is a connection happens, that time only I wanted to pass the variables 11 and 12 I wanted to pass. So this is one of the scenario why we use the passing parameterized constructor. So non-parameterized constructor, we already seen that it is a simple without parameter, simple constructor declaration. Like if you wanted to load the list of the accounts on the load of the Visualforce page. So that time we use the non-parameterized. We are not expecting any parameter there. Right? This is the scenario, one of the scenario why we use the passing the class variables. So this is the Visual Force page, but we also use it in the Lightning, Aura, and LWC. Wherever we are calling this, if we have this kind of a scenario, we use the constructor where it is expecting the class variables, and we have to take that values and assign it to the class variables. Assign the values to the class variable. Now, this one of the requirement is which we have done. Okay, so we will see one example. So let's say that implement a Visual Force page. Implement a Visual Force page to create account from Apex without the constructor. Without the constructor. Implement a Visual Force page to create account from Apex class. So I think this is, we have already implemented it. Can you do it during the class? Can you implement this Visual Force page to create an account from the Apex? Okay, go ahead and implement this logic. It doesn't take much time. It is just 5 to 10 minutes. Right now, implement in the class Visual Force page. Write a code for the Visual Force page to create a new account. To create a new account from the Apex class without a constructor. That means normal straightforward class we have to implement. What do we have to do? We have to implement one Visual Force page. Okay, how the Visual Force page looks like? Visual Force page is okay. Assume that Visual Force page has the account name. Account name, phone number, fax, industry. Right. So for this, we have a user will be entering the account number, user will be entering the phone number, user will be entering the fax, and then industry. And below we have a button which says that submit button. As soon as we click on a submit button, what should happen? It should call the Apex method. This is the VF page. This is the VF page. As soon as user click on the submit button, what should happen? It should call the Apex method. There is a one method. This is the class. Inside that, we have to create one method. So as soon as we click on a submit, this method gets called. As soon as this method is called, then we have to create a record. Create a record. Create new account. Which for that you use the DML operation insert is account. So how you are going to capture this information here? For everyone to capture the account name, you need to have a one variable. To capture the phone number, you need to have a one variable. To capture the fax, you need to have a one variable. To capture the industry, you need to have a one variable. So you need a 4 variables. So take those 4 variables in the class and then implement, capture whatever the user has entered the values, capture it and store it into those variables. And during the method execution, method here we have a method, right? Inside the method, call those variables in order to set it to the account name and phone number, fax and industry, and click on it, insert account. So the record gets created. Doable?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. So in the meantime, I'll restart my system.
Okay.
Okay, so let's go ahead and implement the class. So what are the variables that we need? We need
Name,
name,
Phone.
phone, fax, and industry.
public, string, phone. We already know why to use set and get, so I'll be going on. And public, string, we need a fax, set and get, public, string, industry, set and get. Now this is the 4 variables. And we need one method, which is a public void. Let's say the method name is create account. Okay, inside this method, what we have to do?
Initialize account
Initiate an account.
and assign the values to them.
Yeah.
Equal to name,
Yeah. A dot phone is equal to phone.
equal to phone,
A dot fax is fax, and fx, sorry.
a dot industry,
Industry.
then we are going to
Insert.
A. So this is my class. Simple, straightforward, right? My class is done. Now I'll go ahead and implement the Visual Force page. So VF underscore 15 09, and the class name Visual Force is VF create account. Okay. So first of all, we'll have a connection with the class. Controller equal to class name. And we are going to use the Apex form. Inside the Apex form, what do we
Page
have?
block. Page block, you can see title new account.
Page block and title equal to account. Inside the page block,
Page block section.
page block section,
Value is equal to name. You know the
title equal to create new account. Inside the section,
input text.
okay, so before that we will use the page block section item. Okay, so inside this what we need? Input text. Before that, what do we need?
Input text value, the name is
So we have a inside the Visual Force page, how we are displaying? We are displaying the account name and then the text box. So how we will display the account name? I wanted to display the account name.
Output field, output text.
It's an output label.
Label.
The output label value equal to account name. Right? And then we need to capture the information from the user.
input text.
Input text, and the value is
The name semicolon. What do you say? Colon and name.
okay. So now name declaration is done. Same thing we needed for
Phone fax.
Industry. So phone fax, and then we need an industry. And what is the next thing we needed in the Visual Force page?
Command button for submit.
Command button.
Command button. So value equal to save account record. Action. What is action here?
The
Insert.
method name which we created. Create account, create ACC.
Yeah. Okay, that's all.
Can we not use also the standard, like, save action? Will that not help?
Yeah, we can do that, but our requirement is without constructor, we have to implement
I see.
the Apex.
Oh, you have to change output label everywhere. It is account name. So do we?
It's not an issue. It seems like different value. Home. Industry. So let's save this and click on preview.
Is it slow?
Yeah, seems like it is slow. So how many members are done? At least half of the code. Whatever I have written, half of the code. How many members have done?
I have
I
done
did.
it now.
Yeah, but I did not put all the section, means separately. I just put it in one.
Okay. So this is my class. Okay. So I'll give here the columns equal to 1. Let's save this and let's refresh. Right. So I'll give the name here. It is coming account name. Okay. So we have 1501. Let's go to the Apex classes here. Easiest way to save. If you are getting this kind of a error, it says that it's keep on saving. So if you have those kind of issues anytime during the real time, just come to the Salesforce and search for what are the component that you are doing it. So Visual Force pages 1501. Let's create it here. Perfect. And let's say enter, quick save. Now refresh. Okay. So now I have the value. So let's give some information here. Fax 111 industry banking. Let's save the record. So as soon as the record is saved, I can go back and view the accounts. There is a record is created today. So AMLA is created 555. That is what we have given. What we have implemented so far without constructor. Without constructor, we have implemented. Now we'll go ahead and implement same logic with constructor. Same logic with constructor. Now assume that I have a scenario. Right now, what is happening? We are taking just 4 fields here. 4 fields data we are taking. Because right now we are capturing only the values of, in UI it has only the 4 fields. In UI you have the only 4 fields. Now tomorrow they said that I wanted to capture 100 fields. I wanted to capture the 100 fields of the account has 100 fields, and all of them I wanted to capture the values from the user. Now assume that if you have 100 fields, you have to repeat this logic for the 100 times. Almost entire page will be the public string, public string, public string. Right? You will not see any other logic. So 100 times you have to declare these variables, class variables, you have to declare it. So instead of that, what we can do is we can do one thing. So let's create a new class EL underscore 1509. Create account with constructor. Okay, so here what I'll do is instead of declaring the individual, like we have 100 fields which we are going to 100 variables which we are going to declare it here. Instead of that, what I'll do is simply I use, instead of string, I'll use the account and name will be ACC, which is going to store all the information. Because my data type here it is account, and I need to have a method public void. Let's say, let's take the same create account method. And here inside this, I'll say ACC. Right? This is the same method which we have here. Now, class is done. Inserting the account is done. Simple, straightforward logic. I'm using the data type account and taking the variable ACC, and there is a method ACC. Now I'll take this class. I'll go ahead and use it here. I'm going to make changes to the existing Visualforce page. Right? So this class is, I'm using it. Now, whenever I use this class, do I have these variables, name, phone, fax? Do I have?
No.
No, I do not have. I have a data type which is called as a account, and the variable is ACC.
ACC.
If I have to take the name, then I have to use a
ACC
dot name, ACC dot phone number, ACC dot fax, and ACC dot industry. Perfect. That's done. Now let's go ahead and preview it. So let's give some information here. Custom controller, some number, fax equal to 111, industry banking. Now when I click on save account, what should happen? It should work, because what we are doing it, we are using the data type of account, and I'm inserting whatever the data is there. It is captured in ACC. So I'm inserting the whatever the data is coming, I'm inserting here. Now let's click on save record. What happened? Now it is saying that attempted to dereference null. Attempted to dereference null object. What is that means?
The other fields we have not put in, that's why.
But anyway, ACC is capturing that. Account is having the name, phone, everything it has. Inside this, we have a field. Salesforce has a field of name, phone, fax, and industry. So it should be taken here. What is the error that I'm getting? Now, let me show you that. So what I'm doing, account ACC dot name, I'm giving on the Visualforce page some PM, and then I'm giving the ACC dot phone in the Visualforce page equal to, I'm passing some number 222, and then finally I'm calling the method, I'm inserting the ACC. This is what we are doing, right? This is what we are. If I try to execute it, what happens? System null pointer exception. Why it is null pointer exception?
Oh, we haven't instantiated it, that's why.
Initialization is not done.
Yeah.
New account. If I say new account, the initialization is going to happen. Once the initialization is done, then we are going to insert a record. This is what it, how it works. Now, where should I need to initialize here? In the class level? Where
the method.
Method level.
Method.
Yeah.
So ACC equal to new account. Initialization is done. Let's go ahead and click on preview. Now let's take the information here and let's click on save. Again, it is giving the error. What is the error? Required field missing, required field of account name. But we are giving the account name data. We are passing the name, but still it is giving an error. Still it is giving an error. What might be the error? We are passing the name and we are initializing it and then we are inserting it. What is the error?
Can you go back please to the class one more time? ACC account name.
In this particular constructor, we have not given method name as class. Is it so?
Where is the constructor here?
Achha, we are calling from other class constructor. Huh? This create account like.
Is this a constructor or method?
No, it's a method. It's not a constructor.
So we should change the action name to this name, right?
No, method name should be changed to the same class name. Am I right? That's how it is.
Yeah, that's what I'm trying to say.
How do you call the save record? When you click on that button, I do not want to. When I click on the button, is it fair to call the constructor? It is fair to call the method. Which one is the right?
Method.
Calling method.
Method is the right one. So why? Okay. Now, then what is the issue here? What is the issue? What is the issue we have?
Madam, we are supposed to implement the class with the constructor, right? We are doing with constructor.
We are supposed to implement a class with constructor. Why do you think?
Constructor is not defined.
Why do you think?
We are using only normal method.
Right, but my question is, why do you need a constructor here?
But is it
assigning the
not
instance
true?
variable to the class variable?
Class variable, we do not have a class variable. There is a class variable, but we are initializing everything, we are doing it. Why do you think it is required the constructor?
You said no, we are doing with, we will call with the constructor now, implement a visual force with the constructor. Our requirement is.
I said, but what is your understanding? Why do I need it? Whatever I said it, but what is your understanding? Why do we need it here? So user is entering the data here, right? Some information they are entering it. So assume that I have a memory location. I have a memory location 001. Now what is happening it, whatever the user is entering the information, it will go and sit into the here, right? Inside the memory location, it will go and sit. Is storing the information here. Now, once we done this, we are clicking on a save button. We are clicking on save button. We have a save button here. On click of the save button or submit button, we have a submit button here. On click of a submit button, what we are doing it, what is the logic that we are doing on submit? We are initializing the account. Whenever we are initializing the account, what should happen? It will create another memory. Whenever we initialize it, it will, what will happen? It will create another memory location, which is 002. Now I have a database here. Okay. I have a database, Salesforce database. This is the Salesforce database. Now what is happening here, as soon as I enter the data, it is going and sitting into the memory location 001. But on clicking of the submit button, where it is going, it is creating another memory location. When it goes to the another memory location, there is nothing, no data is there. Now we are initializing here on the submit button. When we initialize it, there is a location memory is allocated for that account, and where there is no data and it is trying to insert into the database. This is not playing a role to insert into the database. What is happening right now? Two memory locations are creating. One is as soon as I enter the data, there is a data that is stored into the one memory location. But here what we are doing it, I'm on the submit of the method, I'm initializing it. Whenever I initialize it, there is another memory is created for that variable and it is trying to store it. When it is trying to store it into the database, there is nothing inside this memory location. There is nothing inside this memory location. It is similar like if I go to the, okay, so this is my logic. Okay, what we are doing right now is we are declaring the acc.name, acc.phone insert. So after giving the values to the variable, then we are initializing it. What will happen if I try to execute it? It will say that system null pointer exception. Same thing we are getting it here. System null pointer exception, right? There is a error allocated. So what we are doing it, we are declaring the ACC and we are giving the values to them, and then I'm initializing it. When I initialize it, the ACC location gets changed and it is trying to insert the same location data inside the database. But this is not the right way. The right way is we have to initialize it before we assign the values to the variable. Before we assign it to the values to the variable. So first is the initialization. First is the initialization, then fill the data. Fill the data. Then insert the record. Insert the record. So this is how we have to do it. Now where I need to initialize it, first of all, I need to take out this logic from here method. We need a constructor because on loading of the class, we have to initialize it. We have to initialize it. On loading of the class, we have to initialize it. Now let's go ahead and implement the class here. Del 123 555 fax 111 banking, save the account. Now what will happen if I go and check the account? It will see Del 123. Right? That is the scenario, because in interview they will ask, okay, you know the basic understanding of constructor. Okay, that means theoretical part this person know. Now they will ask another question that give me a scenario. When do you really need a constructor? Give me a scenario. When do you need a constructor and why do you need it? If I do not use a constructor, what is the error that you are going to get it? Right? So this is one of the scenario. This is one of the scenario where we can tell them, or you can build more scenarios here. So assignment, implement a Visualforce page. To create a custom object. Do you guys have the custom object patient?
Yes, ma'am.
If in case if anybody does not have, create a patient object. Patient custom object. Inside that, create a new fields. New custom fields. First name, last name, email, and account. Look up to the account. Okay. Then implement a Visualforce page to create a new patient record. Implement a page to create a new patient record from Apex with constructor. This is assignment.
Can you please show me the class once again, which we created now?
Okay.
Yeah, okay, okay, ma'am. Thank you.
Okay. So let's move on to the advanced admin.